Yes, hello. We are reacting to the world part 2. Part 2. Reacting to the world for a day part 2.
I have recently come to a hard realization. The concept of employment, the very foundation of how we feed our families, may soon become obsolete. Artificial general intelligence is arriving, and it poses a threat to shatter the world's economy as we know it.
Whoa.
For me, the terrifying part isn't the technology itself. It's that the overwhelming majority of people appear to be sleeping through the alarm. By
Really?
the time the world wakes up to this new reality, the doors of opportunity may already be locked. Now, I'm not a tech CEO or an economist. I'm just
Really?
a bicycle mechanic with a YouTube channel.
That's
But
it?
that's just exactly the point. We may no longer need experts in the traditional sense when we have AI. Let that
Man.
sink in. Artificial general intelligence represents what could be the single greatest transformation in human history.
That's
We've
motivating.
only
I love
got
it.
one shot to get it right.
So-
For the sake of humanity,
so
this is
much
something
motivation.
we all need to understand better. That is exactly what I intend to do for myself, and I'm bringing you along. Allow me to explain. Part 1, the foundation of failure. If you were to walk into my bike shop right now, the first thing you would notice is the smell. It's a specific, heavy scent, a mixture of old rubber, chain lubricant, and cold steel. To most people, it smells like a workshop. To me, it smells like dignity. You would see me standing here with my filthy hands, wrestling with a bottom bracket that hasn't moved in 20 years. You would see the wheel hanging from the rafters, the rows of tools on the wall, and the clutter of a working life. You would see a blue-collar worker. You would see a man who has chosen a simple, analog life in a small town. And you wouldn't be wrong. On my LinkedIn profile, I'm a bicycle mechanic first, an entrepreneur second, and I have yet to make the update to content creator. Who knows what this work will be called in a few years anyway. Regardless, if you think this shop
Who
is
knows?
just a business or YouTube is a career choice, you may be missing the point. And honestly, for a long time, I did too. It has recently become clear to me that this shop is a survival bunker, and YouTube is my periscope. I see now that I built all of this to protect myself from a realization I had 20 years ago. One that is only now beginning to dawn on the rest of the middle class.
Become
It is a
unemployable
truth
to
that I
prepare for the
believe
future.
will become critically clear to humanity in the next decade.
Oh my.
Employment is just an illusion of security, and the tech giants are about to pull back the curtain. But before we get into all of that, a bit of backstory. It took
Wow.
me 5.5 years to get an English degree in creative writing because I liked working at the bike shop more than I liked going to class. Looking
Really?
back, the writing was on the wall. I never wanted a real job, but the bright light of the American dream had blinded me. And in 2001, I landed a job as a technical writer at a cutting-edge photonics startup, but they put me to work as a research technician developing semiconductor diode lasers for fiber optic networks. I worked in
Really?
a clean room, aligned optics at a
That's
micron
awesome.
level precision,
So much.
wore a lab coat, and spoke the language of physics with brilliant people
That's
until the
awesome.
bubble burst.
No.
Next came corporate industrial sales. For 6 years, I wore a tie, drove a company car, and crisscrossed the Midwest selling high-purity toxic chemicals to pharmaceutical corporations and biotech startups. I sat in boardrooms with vice presidents and directors
This guy's
selling
depressing
quality,
me.
safety, and reliability. It paid well, and it was the good life of expense accounts and golf, but I always felt like I was playing a part. I did everything the script demands. I got my degree, cut my hair, and got a good job. I bought into the fundamental contract of the 20th century that if you trade your time and your loyalty to a corporation, they will in turn provide you with security and dignity. Still, no matter how hard I
What?
tried, I could never find my place in that world.
Wait,
And more
what?
importantly, neither could anyone else. I
Really?
decided that if I couldn't earn
Was
it
he
through
being
merit,
serious?
I'd take it with grit. Driven by a desire for autonomy,
Was he being
and with
serious?
more heart than sense, I leveraged myself to the hilt to purchase a wholesale
was that a
distribution
joke?
business of my own. I went all in, believing that with enough determination, I could build a life of my own. 18 months later, I was bankrupt, divorced, and God willing, sober. The collapse was total. It wasn't just financial, it was existential. Standing in the wreckage of my life,
Oh,
stripped
man.
of assets and dignity, I began my absolutely soul-sucking 3-year job search that finally
Really?
ended after I was rejected by a local bike shop for a job as a bicycle mechanic.
Really?
Failure taught me what success never had. The value of the wage is a capitalist.
I'm just kidding.
And so I became unemployed. Not
Really?
because I lacked skills, but because I could no longer see the value proposition. Trading a non-renewable source like time for a small slice of the pie felt like a losing strategy. The only way forward for me was profit, not wages.
This guy's a
Ownership,
genius.
not permission. I needed a system where my labor built something I controlled, not equity for someone else. I rebuilt my life around bicycles because the bicycle is the ultimate machine of human efficiency and autonomy.
Is
As
that true?
children, riding a bicycle is our first real taste of agency and freedom.
I have
Get
an
out of it
electric
what you put
bicycle.
in.
Am I still a
But more
kid?
importantly, it was my unfair advantage in a world that is rapidly
I have a
vaporizing
dual
into the
motor
cloud.
electric bicycle. Am I
Physical
still a
world
kid?
is one of the few places the algorithms cannot yet fully
I'm a
reach.
child.
I fortified my domain here, and I became a bike farmer, cultivating value with my own bare hands. Despite some happy accidents along the way, the past decade of living a post-labor lifestyle has been the most fulfilling part of my life. I'm no longer shackled to the capitalist merit system.
Really?
I've reclaimed my agency. I'm
Now
proud
he's
of
free.
my work, and for the first time in my life, I feel free. Not
That's
too
awesome.
bad for a dirtball wrench who couldn't hack it in the boardroom. Recently, my
You're
most
cool.
successful friends
I love you,
have
dude.
told me I seem to
I love
have
you.
really figured it out, as if I'm some sort of outlier, which I suppose, looking around, I am. But as I look at the horizon of 2027 and beyond, I realize that my professional past was not just a lesson. in
Try
failure
doing
and
all that
results.
without those
It feels like a
tools.
premonition.
Real tough guy.
Part 2,
I'm just
the
kidding.
Great Displacement.
Just kidding.
We need to talk about what is happening to the labor economy in the age of AI. We appear to be standing on the precipice of a species-level event. The arrival of artificial general intelligence machines that possess the capacity to perform virtually any cognitive task a human can do, but faster, cheaper, and without fatigue, is imminent. This is
Really?
not science fiction. The timelines have compressed.
AI is
The
coming to
smartest
take over the
engineers in
world.
the world are telling us to prepare for this within the next few years. This is not the Industrial Revolution. When the
Scary.
steam engine
Scary.
arrived, it displaced muscle, but it increased
Fear.
the value of the human
Fear.
mind. It allowed us to move from the fields to the factories, and then from the factories into the offices. We became knowledge workers. We built an entire global economy on the premise that human intelligence is a scarce and valuable commodity. And that was the logic of the information age. He who has the talent wins. But we are crossing the threshold into the age of intelligence, where knowledge is infinite and talent is automated. We aren't just getting better at computers. The fundamental economic laws appear to be shifting from a scarcity of expertise to an abundance of productivity. Consider the trajectory of my own past lives. The laser technician, that role has been usurped by robotics capable of micron-level alignment driven by computer vision. The technical writer, large language models can already generate manuals, documentation, and technical copy in seconds. The chemical sales representative, AI agents are already beginning to negotiate supply chains, optimize logistics, and close contracts without human intervention. We are witnessing the systemic erosion of the middle class. The knowledge worker is an endangered species. If
Is
your
AI
primary
coming after
economic
bicycle
value is
shop
your ability
repairman?
to process information, write code, organize data, or manage mid-level administrative tasks, you are standing on shaky ground. I look at my 4 children who are currently planning their futures, and I feel a profound responsibility to tell them the truth as I see it. The educational system has prepared them for the world of 2025, a world of credentials, resumes, and career paths. That's a world of dwindling value. Sending a child into the job market of the next decade with only a traditional degree and an expectation of guaranteed employment is a much riskier gamble. The concerning reality is that the value of cognitive human labor, in the traditional sense, risks approaching zero. If you sell your time for money, you're entering a competition with an entity that has infinite time, zero cost of living, and an unlimited capacity to learn. It is a
Really?
race that's impossible to win. This
Wow.
is why I say that many of us are about to become unemployable, just as I had become.
We are
a decade ago.
unemployable.
It likely won't happen overnight. Many experts are saying it will happen slowly, and then all at
AI
once.
is coming
Wages
for
will
your
stagnate,
job.
Hiring will freeze.
You're
the middle
unemployable.
of the corporate ladder will simply
Time to
dissolve.
be
And
depressed
so we
and
are left with a
cry.
question.
Time to
If we
die.
cannot work for wages, how will we survive?
You won't. You'll
Part
just
3,
die.
The fork in the road.
You just
We are
die
facing a
consuming
civilizational fork in
content
the road. The path we choose today will determine the fate of humanity. One
from the
potential path,
degrading
the one we seem to be
sea
sleepwalking
of
into,
content out
is
there.
techno-feudalism. In this scenario, incentivized by our current socio-economic political systems, the ownership of the new means of production, the AI models, the data centers, the robotics, is concentrated in the hands of a microscopic elite. A handful of trillionaires and corporate sovereigns will own all of the abundance on Earth. They will control the surplus. The rest of us, the former accountants, the former coders, the former
Yeah.
truck drivers, would be relegated to a permanent underclass
Really?
under constant surveillance.
That's
we are at risk
depressing.
of becoming digital serfs,
Wow.
scraping by in a hyper-competitive gig economy, servicing the whims of the algorithm, dependent on the benevolence of overlords for our survival.
Super
This is
depressing!
a future where you might own nothing. This is a future of limited agency. This authoritarian dystopia is the easy path forward for those currently in power. But there is a second path that leads towards a post-scarcity.
No, I'm just kidding. This is awesome.
the future where we, the people, recognize that the
So
job
much
was never
motivation.
the point of human existence. The point was always freedom, and the job was merely the tool we used to achieve it. If the machines can solve
AI.
the problem of productivity, if they generate abundance, it could leave us free to do the things that actually make us human.
You mean
We could be
like
free
reacting to
create,
content?
To explore, to care for one another, to build communities, and to learn. We could stop working like cogs in a machine and
Cogs in a
finally use our
machine!
time to build our own. But this future requires a radical restructuring of our social contract. It requires us to demand a new pro-social political reality. This is the one and final
Pro-social?
test of we the people. To manage this economic transition, we must focus on key policy solutions to decouple basic survival from employment, investing heavily in lifelong learning and upskilling programs to transition workers into human-centric
Instead of
fields
working for
requiring
president.
empathy and complex critical thinking, employing models like worker ownership to ensure the public shares in the productivity gains of automation. And immediately during the transition, we implement a safety net, like a sovereign wealth fund or a universal basic dividend, by reforming the tax code to recover the public investment in building this technology. Let's
Yes.
take a look at how
Awesome.
these AI models were built. How does ChatGPT know how to write an essay? How does Midjourney know how to paint a sunset? How does the algorithm know how to diagnose a disease? It knows because it was trained on us, without our consent and without compensation. It was trained on the entire history of the internet. It was trained on the blogs you wrote, the photos you uploaded, the forums where you solved problems, the open source code you wrote for free. It was trained on the collective intelligence, creativity, and labor of the human species. In many ways, we are the silent investors in this technology. Our data is the fuel, and our attention is the spark. So when we talk about distributing the wealth generated by AI, we shouldn't view it as charity. I believe we should view it as compensation. To me, this represents a long overdue royalty check. We need a tax code that recognizes this reality. We need
Really?
to tax the robots and regulate the algorithm.
Tax the
Not
robots.
to punish innovation, but to recapture the value that we helped create. At least for now, much like the COVID stimulus checks, this dividend may be the only way to keep the economy functioning. If
This
nobody
guy
has
is
a job,
smart.
nobody has any money. And if nobody has any money, nobody can buy the products the robots are making. It
That's
all
right.
falls apart. Now look, I get it. Almost everyone I've spoken to about this immediately
guy's a
says
genius.
the same thing. Yeah, right. Look into it though. Many experts agree the economic problems are solvable, but we cannot wait for the government to save us. The gears of democracy grind too slowly. The technology moves at lightning speed. By the time Congress convenes a committee to define AGI, the game could be over. So we must demand a democratic intervention from elected officials immediately while we simultaneously
Really?
begin building a personal solution. Part 4, the crisis of identity. We spend a lot of time talking about the economic
the end of
shift.
the world.
How will people pay their mortgages or buy groceries when the jobs go away? But losing a livelihood is only half the problem. A deeper, more sinister crisis is the potential loss of human dignity and identity. In our society, what do you do is often the first question we may ask a stranger. For many, this is how we locate ourselves in the hierarchy and how we understand our value to the tribe. When AI automates the execution of tasks, we risk facing a void of purpose. If a machine can do your job faster and cheaper, the external validation of being necessary evaporates. For many,
What's
work is the
enhance?
scaffolding of their life. Remove that structure,
What is this?
and things fall apart.
Ooh,
When I
Copilot.
rebuilt my life following my
Whoa.
own existential professional crisis,
Whoa.
I didn't do it by clinging to a job title.
What-
I did it by focusing
What
on
is
three
this?
core
Oh my,
values:
AI,
authenticity,
evilness.
creativity, and curiosity. These are the values that allowed me to build a life that the machine will struggle to emulate. These are the tools that bring me freedom and security. First, I embraced authenticity. This isn't just about being real. It's an acceptance of one's true self. It meant taking a hard inventory of my strengths and my weaknesses, my regrets and my passions, my beliefs and my doubts. I had to know exactly what my skills were, and more importantly, what my limitations are. In a world of synthetic perfection, becoming vulnerable to your own fuzzy human edges is paramount. Second, I leaned into curiosity. I didn't just look at the trends in the bicycle market. I became obsessed with the unsolved problems within it. I got curious about what it felt like to be a customer on the other side of the counter. I looked at what others were doing to find success and asked myself, where are the gaps? I went looking for the problems that only I could solve. I needed to leverage my unfair advantage to prop up my future. Finally, I gave myself permission to be creative. I started building a life instead of looking for a way to make a living. Creativity is different for everyone. Some people are artists, some are designers, some are builders. I'm more of a creator. I rebuild unique bicycles and make videos so other people can watch me do it. It's so simple, it's almost silly, but it's mine and I love it. I'm proud of where I am and how I got here. I stopped trying to fit into the existing machine and I built a small machine of my own. The result is that my livelihood is 100% unique to me. It is relatively independent, resilient, and largely unaffected by the wild fluctuations of the broader market. This is the position we need to be in to face the age of intelligence. Because I built this myself based on who I actually am, no corporate restructuring or socioeconomic collapse can easily take it away from me. Part 5, the exhibition. All right, I know what you're all probably thinking. That's
What am I thinking?
great for you, but what does this all mean for me? And honestly, I'm asking myself these same questions. And the only way I know how to learn something is to take it apart and put it back together again. So, starting January 1st, 2026,
Ooh.
I'm launching a public exhibition to do exactly that.
Like
For
what?
52 weeks, I will release a weekly 12-minute video essay exploring work, labor, and society in the age of intelligence.
Really?
I want to be very clear about what this is not. This is not another doom and gloom AI channel.
Really?
I'm not interested in the sky is falling, sensationalist, rage bait slop that's currently flooding our feeds.
Really?
I'm not here to scare you for clicks, and I'm certainly not here to sell you a course on how to get rich with ChatGPT. This is an authentic, messy attempt to answer the existential questions we are all facing today, one topic at a time. How will our daily lives actually change? What does it mean to
What
be
a
a human
genius.
when we are no longer needed as workers? What can be done to protect our families? And importantly, what is the cost of all of this? Part 6, the ethical dilemma. In the interest of moral transparency, I must address the elephant in the room. I will be using AI tools to help research the topics, draft the scripts, edit the footage, and market the content. I'm not blind to the profound ethical hypocrisy of this project. I am a man who loves the natural world, worries about the climate, and who values human artistry. And yet, I'm proposing to use a technology that consumes vast amounts of energy, that scrapes the work of artists, and threatens the social fabric of the very society that I'm trying to defend. I'm not going to greenwash this. I understand there is a social cost to these tools, but I also believe in the concept of the oxygen mask. You have to put yours on before you can help the person next to you. I believe at some point we will all be forced to use the machine to free ourselves from the machine. I am using these tools to demonstrate they are the only lever powerful enough to pry open.
You gotta
the
put
space
your
for independence
oxygen
in this
mask
new
on
economy.
first
We
before
will
you
need
can
to
help
use the master's
anyone
tools
else.
if we want to rebuild the master's house.
Put your
I
oxygen
don't love
mask
how this
on.
feels, so I'm setting some boundaries and leaving some outs. I'm limiting my work on this project to 1 hour per day and for only 1 year. I can quit at any point if I determine that the social cost is too great or if I lose my way. I'm not rushing into this blindly or out of desperation. I created the Instead of Working channel over a year ago because I felt that helping people become unemployable was my new unfair advantage. But I was early to the
Amazing.
party. So the
Instead of
project
working for
stalled.
president.
The channel sat dormant until the paradigm shift of AI brought things into focus. We aren't choosing to leave the workforce. The workforce is about to leave us. I
Really?
spent weeks reworking the concept from a lifestyle channel into a survival
So
strategy.
motivational.
and
Thank
back.
you. I love
What's
it.
left is more questions than answers. which for
Motivation.
me is a great way to get started. In Mary Oliver's poem, Sometimes, she writes, instructions for living a life. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. And I've always wanted to give that
I
a
can
shot,
fix bikes.
and now's my chance.
Hit me up to fix your
Part
bike.
7, the invitation. It took decades of cycling between real jobs
I'll
and the
set
bike
up your
shop
computer.
before I finally loosened my grip and let go of the handle. Now,
set up your
every time I
bicycle.
walk into my shop, every time I fix a bike, every time I connect with my audience,
I'll write you
I
something on
know
ChatGPT.
I've made the right choice. I know that autonomy is worth the price of insecurity. I want to show how anyone can retain agency and find autonomy in their own lives. I want to show you how anyone can stop working for wages and start living for purpose. AI is poised to reconstitute every aspect of our professional lives, which I see as less of a threat and more of an opportunity. We must not let the system starve us out. We must not let the concentration of wealth force us into serfdom.
Lube
We're going
those
to
up.
use the tools that are ours. We are going to reclaim the wealth we have created, and we're going to build a world where we work because we want to, not because we have to. We will become the architects of the post-scarcity economy, not the victims of it. We will establish our role in society rather than allow corporations to demand we work for it. So consider this my invitation to follow along as I work through these ideas and fortify my own domain for the uncertain times that lie ahead. I'm Andy Q, and I'm busy living instead of working.
Awesome. Did you guys learn anything? What did you learn? I learned that you gotta be an entrepreneur for yourself and work for your own community and do things that you find value in, like repairing people's bicycles and refrigerators and maybe their AC units or whatever. Gotta fix their car. Take it to the mechanic. The AI Nothing Burger. Anunnaki, the moon, and AI takeover. Wow. That sounds like a lot. What can be going on there? Microsoft and Nvidia cross the line. Okay. Let's see what you get from this one. Wait. No. That's not what I want. Wait. Maybe we'll see what we get from this one. Okay. Let's see what this guy says. Yeah, let's just watch this one.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you, President Powers, Provost Fenves, deans, members of the faculty, family and friends, and most
University of
importantly,
Texas at Austin.
the class of 2014. It is indeed an honor for me to be here tonight. It's been almost 37 years to the day that I graduated from UT. I remember a lot of things about that day. I remember I had a throbbing headache from a party the night before. I remember I had a serious girlfriend, who I later married.
You
That's
did.
important to remember, by the way. And I
That's
remember I was
fantastic.
getting commissioned in the Navy that day. But of all the things I remember, I don't have a clue who the commencement speaker was, and I certainly don't remember anything they said. So acknowledging
that man
fact,
in
if
his
I can't
uniform.
make this commencement speech memorable, I will at least try to make
He's
it
a
short.
killer macho man.
So the university's slogan is, what starts here changes the world. Well, I've got to admit,
Just kidding, he doesn't kill.
I kind of like it. What
Not
starts
indiscriminately. Only when he needs
here
to.
changes the world.
Only when
there are almost
absolutely
8,000
necessary.
students, or there are more than 8,000 students graduated from UT. So that great paragon of analytical rigor, Ask.com, says that the average American will meet 10,000 people in their lifetime. 10,000 people, that's a lot of folks. But if every one of you changed the lives of just 10 people, and each one of those people changed the lives of another 10 people, and another 10, then in 5 generations, 125 years, the class of 2014 will have changed the lives of 800 million people.
Really?
800 million people. Think about it. Over twice the
Wow.
population of the United States. Go one more generation, and you can change the entire population of the world. 8 billion people.
That's amazing.
If you think it's hard to change the lives of 10 people, change their lives forever,
That's
you're
amazing.
wrong. I saw it happen every day in Iraq and Afghanistan. A
In
young
the
Army
war
officer makes a
zones.
decision to go left instead of right down a road in Baghdad, and the 10 soldiers with him are saved from a close-in ambush.
Dang,
In Kandahar
son.
province, Afghanistan, a non-commissioned officer from the female engagement team senses that something isn't right and directs the infantry platoon away from a 500-pound IED, saving the lives of a dozen soldiers. But if you think about it, not only were those soldiers saved by the decisions of one person, but their children were saved, and their children's children.
Yep.
Generations were saved by one decision, one person.
That's amazing.
But changing
butterfly
the world can
effect.
happen anywhere, and anyone can do it. So what starts here can indeed change the world. But the question is, what will the world look like after you change it?
I have no idea.
Well, I'm confident that it will look much, much better. But if you'll humor this old sailor for just a moment,
You
I have
sailor.
a few suggestions that may help you on your way to a better world.
All right, let me know.
While these lessons were learned during my time in the military, I can assure you that it matters not whether you ever served a day in uniform. It matters not your gender, your ethnic or religious background, your orientation, or your social status. Our struggles in this world are similar, and the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward, changing ourselves and changing the world around us, will apply equally to all. I've been a Navy SEAL for 36 years, but it all began when I left UT for basic SEAL training in Coronado, California. Basic SEAL training is 6 months of long, torturous runs in the soft sand, midnight swims in the cold water off San Diego, obstacle courses, unending calisthenics, days without sleep, and always being cold, wet, and miserable. It is 6 months of being constantly harassed by professionally trained warriors who seek to find the weak of mind and body and eliminate them from ever becoming a Navy SEAL.
Really?
But the training also seeks to find those students who can lead in an environment of constant stress, chaos, failure, and hardships. To me, basic SEAL training was a lifetime of challenges crammed into 6 months. So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life. Every morning in SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they'd do was inspect my bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. It was a simple task, mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed.
Awesome.
Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day,
Damn.
you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better.
Is that true?
So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. During SEAL training, the students are all broken down into boat crews. Each crew is 7 students.
This guy's a
3 on each
genius.
side of a small rubber boat, and 1 coxswain to help guide the dinghy. Every day, your boat crew forms up on the beach and is instructed to get through the surf zone and paddle several miles down the coast. In the winter, the surf off San Diego can get to be 8 to 10 feet high, and it is exceedingly difficult to paddle through the plunging surf unless everyone digs in. Every paddle must be synchronized to the stroke count of the coxswain. Everyone must exert equal effort, or the boat will turn against the wave and be unceremoniously dumped back on the beach. For the boat to make it to its destination, everyone must paddle. You can't change the world alone. You will need some help. And to truly get from your starting point to your destination takes friends, colleagues, the goodwill of strangers, and a strong coxswain to guide you. If you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews.
This is the
big men in
best
the
I
other
can
boat
do, you
crews
guys.
would always make good-natured fun of the tiny
I am
little
AI
flippers
slop.
the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. Several times a week, the instructors would line up the class and do a uniform inspection. It was
This guy's
exceptionally thorough.
amazing.
Your hat had to be perfectly starched, your uniform immaculately pressed, your belt buckle shiny and void of any smudges. But it seemed that no matter how much effort you put into starching your hat or pressing your uniform or polishing your belt buckle, it just wasn't good enough. The instructors would find something wrong. For failing the uniform inspection, the student had to run fully clothed into the surf zone, then wet from head to toe, roll around on the beach until every part of your body was covered with sand. The effect was known as a sugar cookie. You stayed in the uniform the rest of the day, cold, wet, and sandy. There were many a student who just couldn't accept the fact that all their efforts were in vain, that no matter how hard they tried to get the uniform right, it went unappreciated. Those students didn't make it through training. Those students didn't understand the purpose of the drill. You were never going to succeed. You were never going to have a perfect uniform. The instructors weren't going to allow it. Sometimes, no matter how well you prepare or how well you perform, you still end up as a sugar cookie. It's just the way life is sometimes. If you want to change the world, get over being a sugar cookie and keep moving forward. Every day during training, you were challenged with multiple physical events: long runs, long swims, obstacle courses, hours of calisthenics, something designed to test your mettle. Every event had standards, times you had to meet. If you failed to meet those times, those standards, your name was posted on a list, and at the end of the day, those on the list were invited to a circus. A circus was 2 hours of additional calisthenics, designed to wear you down, to break your spirit, to force you to quit. No one wanted a circus. A circus meant that for that day, you didn't measure up. A circus meant more fatigue, and more fatigue meant that the following day would be more difficult, and more circuses were likely. But at some time during SEAL training, everyone made the circus list. But an interesting thing happened to those who were constantly on the list.
What
Over
happened?
time, those students who did 2 hours of extra calisthenics got
Were they stronger and stronger?
The pain of the circuses built inner strength and physical resiliency.
Really?
Life is filled with circuses. You will fail. You will likely fail often. It will be painful. It will be discouraging. At times, it will test you to your very core. But if you want to change the world, don't be afraid of the circuses.
Don't be
At least
afraid
twice
of
a
the
week, the trainees were
circuses.
required to run the obstacle course. The obstacle course contained 25 obstacles, including a 10-foot wall, a 30-foot cargo net, a barbed wire crawl, to name a few. But the most challenging obstacle was the slide for life. It had a 3-level, 30-foot tower at one end and a 1-level tower at the other. In between was a 200-foot long rope. You had to climb the 3-tiered tower, and once at the top, you grabbed the rope, swung underneath the rope, and pulled yourself hand over hand until you got to the other end. The record for the obstacle course had stood for years when my class began in 1977. The record seemed unbeatable until one day a student decided to go down the slide for life head first. Instead of swinging his body underneath the rope and inching his way down, he bravely mounted the top of the rope and thrust himself forward. It was a dangerous move, seemingly foolish and fraught with risk. Failure could mean injury and being dropped from the course. Without hesitation, the student slid down the rope perilously fast. Instead of several minutes, it only took him half that time. And by the end of the course, he had broken the record. If you want to change the world, sometimes you have to slide down the obstacles head first. During the land warfare phase of training, the students are flown out to San Clemente Island, which lies off the coast of San Diego. The waters off San Clemente are a breeding ground for the great white sharks. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks.
What?
As Navy SEALs, one of our jobs
Don't
is
back
to conduct
down from the
underwater attacks
sharks.
against enemy shipping. We practice this technique extensively during training.
This guy's a
Ship attack mission
genius.
is where a pair of SEAL divers is dropped off outside an enemy harbor and then swims well over 2 miles underwater, using nothing but a depth gauge and a compass to get to the target. During the entire swim, even well below the surface, there is some light that comes through. It is comforting to know that there is open water above you. But as you approach the ship, which is tied to a pier, the light begins to fade. The steel structure of the ship blocks the moonlight. It blocks the surrounding street lamps. It blocks all ambient light. To be successful in your mission, you have to swim under the ship and find the keel, the center line, and the deepest part of the ship. This is your objective. But the keel is also the darkest part of the ship, where you cannot see your hand in front of your face, where the noise from the ship's machinery is deafening, and where it gets to be easily disoriented, and you can fail. Every SEAL knows that under the keel, at that darkest moment of the mission, is a time when you need to be calm, when you must be calm, when you must be composed, when all your tactical skills, your physical power, and your inner strength must be brought to bear. If you want to change the world, you must be your very best in the darkest moments. The 9th week of training is referred to as Hell Week. It is 6 days of no sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and one special day at the Mud Flats. The Mud Flats are an area between San Diego and Tijuana where the water runs off and creates the Tijuana Sloughs, a swampy patch of terrain where the mud will engulf you. It is on Wednesday of Hell Week that you paddle down to the Mud Flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive this freezing cold, the howling wind, and the incessant pressure to quit from the instructors. As the sun began to set that Wednesday evening, my training class, having committed some egregious infraction of the rules, was ordered into the mud. The mud consumed each man till there was nothing visible but our heads. The instructors told us we could leave the mud if only 5 men would quit. Only 5 men, just 5 men and we could get out of the oppressive cold. Looking around the mud flat, it was apparent that some students were about to give up. It was still over 8 hours till the sun came up. 8 more hours of bone-chilling cold. The chattering teeth and the shivering moans of the trainees were so loud, it was hard to hear anything. And then one voice began to echo through the night. One voice raised in song. The song was terribly out of tune, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became two, and two became three, and before long, everyone in the class was singing. The instructors threatened us with more time in the mud if we kept up the singing, but the
Everyone
singing
is singing.
persisted. And somehow the mud seemed a little warmer, and the wind a little tamer, and the dawn not so far away. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela.
Can you believe this came from
even a
11
young
years
girl
ago?
from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, start singing when you're up to your neck in mud. Finally, in SEAL training, there's a bell. A brass bell that hangs in the center of the compound for all the students to see. All you have to do to quit is ring the bell. Ring the bell, and you no longer have to wake up at 5 o'clock. Ring the bell, and you no longer have to be in the freezing cold swims. Ring the bell, and you no longer have to do the runs, the obstacle course, the PT, and you no longer have to endure the hardships of training. All you have to do is ring the bell to get out. If you want to change the world, don't ever, ever ring the bell. To the class of 2014, you are moments away from graduating, moments away from beginning your journey through life, moments away from starting to change the world for the better.
77th,
It will not
9th,
be easy.
77th,
But you are the
9th
class of
Commander.
2014, the class that can affect the lives of 800 million people in the next century. Start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never, ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better. Thank you very much.
Did we learn
Uncle Lawrence.
anything? Chat. Did we learn anything? Chat. I want to know. I think we learned something, right? To face down adversity with the eye of the tiger, and to face your fears and to conquer them. Why not? Right? But that's not the video I was looking for, so let's see what else we find. Alright, that's not what we're looking for. Let's see. Ooh, Obama. What did Obama say?
Hello, everybody, and hello, Bill. And congratulations on being recognized for your lifetime of service. After the raid against bin Laden, the entire world learned about your extraordinary leadership. It was, I know, more attention than you probably ever wanted as a quiet professional. Tonight, I want to thank you on a personal level for your discipline, professionalism, and patriotism, which I've seen myself. As I've said before, even with all the intelligence we possessed, none of us knew for certain that bin Laden was in that compound. It was maybe a 50-50 proposition.
Really?
But I made the decision I did. I gave the order to go in.
The
I
order!
had 100% confidence in you.
He gave the order. Wait. I know people make mistakes and stuff, but
Gave
listen.
the order to go in
Listen. Oh, you heard that?
because it's a 50 proposition.
He gave the order.
But I made the decision I did. I gave the order to go in.
He gave the order.
I had 100% confidence in you and in your team. In all those months of preparation, your focus, your attention to detail was unmatched. You always gave me your best military advice. And through it all, you never wavered in your #1 priority, and safety of those under your command. I sensed it as we watched the mission unfold second by second. I saw it when we gathered at Fort Campbell to welcome the team home and thank them and their families. That raid will go down as one of the greatest intelligence and military operations in history. And history will record that it was led by Admiral Bill McRaven, one of the finest special operators our nation has ever produced. I know you've brought those same qualities of leadership to bear as you've led our warriors at SOCOM.
All right. Let's check this out.
You have advice for young people in high school? You've given a lot of people look up to you for advice, for strength to search for themselves, to find themselves.
Take on some responsibility. Do something for other people. You're doing something for yourself while you're doing that, even if you don't know it, for sure, because you're a community across time. Find something to serve.
Somebody to help.
Someone
a
to
problem
help.
To solve.
A job to find a job. Do your best with the
job.
customers. Don't be above your job. You're going to get an entry-level job when you're a kid. Well, what else would you want? You want to be the boss? What do you know? You don't know anything. You could be the boss of your job. You know, if you're working in a grocery store or you're working in a convenience store, assuming you're not working for terrified tyrants, you can be nice to the customers. You can develop your social skills. You can learn how to handle a boss-employee relationship. You can be there 15 minutes early and leave 15 minutes late. Like, you can learn in an entry-level job, man. And I'll tell you, if you take an entry-level job and you learn, and it's a reasonably decent place, you will not be in an entry-level job for long. Because everyone who's competent is desperate for competent people. And if you go and show yourself as competent, there'll be a trial period. But if you go show yourself as competent, all sorts of doors you didn't even know were there will start opening like mad.
So you strive for
Mad.
competence, for craftsmanship.
Yeah. For discipline, you know, I mean, I said in one of the chapters of my books is focused on putting your house in order. It's like, well, how do you start? Make your bed. You know, it actually took me quite a long time in my life before I made my bed regularly in the morning. Most of my life was in pretty good order, but that was one thing I didn't have in order. My clothes in my closet as well, all that's in order. Not all of it. I'm cleaning out some drawers right now, but look around and see what bugs you in your room. Just look. It's like, okay, I'm in my room. Do I like this room? No, it bugs me. Okay, why? Well, the paint's peeling there, and it's dusty there, and the carpet's dirty, and that corner's kind of ugly, and the light there isn't very good, and my clothes closet's a mess, so I don't even like to open it. Okay, that's a lot of problems. That sucks. That's a lot of opportunity. Pick something and fix it,
Something that bugs you.
but not too much. So the rule is pick something you know would pick a problem. Pick a solution to it that you know would help, that you could do, that you would do. So you have to negotiate with yourself. It's like, well, I won't clean up this room. How do you know? I've been in here for 10 years and I've never cleaned it up. It's like, well, obviously that's too big a dragon for you. Would
Too
you
big a
clean
dragon.
one drawer? Find out. And so imagine now you want to be happy when you
And
open
I
that
cleaned
drawer.
it.
You think, well, that's stupid. It's
I
like,
need
is it?
something else. Give me something else.
Maybe it's your sock drawer, which I cleaned up in my room the other
I
day.
need to
by the way.
absorb something else.
You're going to open that every morning. That's like 30 seconds of your life every day. Okay, so that's 3 minutes a week. That's 12 minutes a month. That's 2 hours a year. So maybe your life is made out, if you've got 16 hours a day, let's figure this out. 12 in an hour, 12 in an hour, 144 in 12 hours. Yeah, let's say 200. 200 5-minute chunks. That's your life.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Peterson did just some math how many 5-minute chunks there are in a day.
I got
I'm pretty sure that's
approximate-
pretty accurate.
It's,
Yeah.
it's approximately right. So you got 200 5-minute chunks,
Ha!
and they repeat. A lot of them repeat. So if you get every one of those right, they're trivial, right? Who cares what my sock drawer looks like? It's like, fair enough, man, but that's your life. The things you repeat every day, the mundane things. Think I could get all those mundane things right. That's the game rules. It's like now all the mundane is in place. Now you can play because all the mundane's in place. And this is actually true. So with children, imagine you want your children to play. Well, play is very fragile neurologically. any competing motivation or emotion will suppress play. So everything has to be in order. Everything has to be a walled garden before the children will play. That's a good way of thinking about it. So you put everything in order and you think, oh my God, now I'm tyrannized by this order. It's like, no, you aren't, not if it's voluntary. And then the order is the precondition for the freedom. And so then all of a sudden you get all these things in order. It's like, oh, look at this. I've got some room to play here. And then maybe you're not depressed. Now, it's often not that simple, you know. It's not that simple. Try putting your room in order, perfect order. That's hard, man.
I mean, it's a really powerful way to think about those 5-minute chunks. Just get one of them right in a day.
Yeah, well, if you do that for 200 days, your life is in order. Yeah. You know, I did that with my clients a lot. So a lot of them would come home from work, the guys, hey, and their wives would meet them at the door and it'd be a fight right away. You know, and it's a clash there because he comes home and he's tired and hungry. He's worked all day and he's hoping that, you know, he gets welcomed when he comes back to the home. But then the wife is at home and she's been with the kids all day and she's tired and hungry. And she's hoping that when he comes home, he'll show her some appreciation for what's happened today. And then they clash and then they both have problems to discuss because they've had their troubles during the day. And so then every time they get together, they're not like it's a bit of a fight for 20 minutes and then the whole evening is screwed. And so then you think, okay, here's the deal. It's knock and the door will open. Okay, you get to pick what happens when you come home, but you have to figure out what it is. So now this is the deal. You treat yourself properly. You imagine coming home and it goes the way you want and need it to go. Okay, what does that look like? You get to have it, but you have to know what it is. What does it look like? And you think, okay, I want to come home. I want to be happy about coming home. I come home. I open the door. I say, hello, honey, I'm home. My wife says, hi, it's so nice to hear your voice. She comes up. She says, hi, dear. She gives you a hug. She says, how was your day? And you say, well, we'll sit and talk about that. How was your day? Well, we'll sit and talk about that. Do you need something to eat? Probably. Let's go sit and talk about our day. It's like, that sounds pretty good. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Might not be perfect, but sounds a hell of a lot better than what we're doing now. So how about we'll go talk to your wife. Say, okay, this is what's happening when I come home. I would like it to be better. What would you like to have happen if you could have what you wanted? And so she sits down and she thinks, okay, if he comes home, what do I want to have happen? And then now you got two visions and you say, well, what would you like? And you listen and she says, what would you like? And you tell her, and then you think, okay, now how can we bring these visions together? So not only do we both get what we want, but because we've brought them together, we even get more than we want. Well, who wouldn't agree to that unless they were aiming down? And that's so exciting. It's not a compromise. It's a union of ideals that even makes a better ideal. And then you get to come home. And then there's another rule that goes along with that, which is, please, dear, have the grace to allow me to do this stupidly and badly while I learn at least 20 times. Yeah. And I'll give you the same leeway. And then we'll practice stupidly for 20 times and we'll talk about it. And then maybe we'll get it right for the next 10,000 times. Yeah. Right? And you can do that with your whole life, and you can do that with your kids, and you can do that with your family. Like, it's not easy, but you can do it. It's a lot easier than the alternative.
Okay, so I guess he said to make your bed and to just try, even if you fail, and do small steps at a time, and don't make too big of goals that overwhelm you so that you never get anything done. Just do one step at a time.